reckoning. But what I'm saying is, in the meantime, let as many of us collectively get together and say that this is not okay. And
Hmm.
it's not
Hmm.
okay. I was listening to, and I know some folks gonna get, probably a little bit like, ooh, but I was listening to Farrakhan, who stood up for Kyrie in an interview this morning.
Hmm.
And basically, he was saying that this is about religious control. This is about what is cultural norms. And if we don't lean on religious control and cultural norms, then we have to admit that we're leaning on whiteness. And so
Hmm.
I'm just not willing to stand on whiteness every day, 24 hours, 7 days a week. I'm just not willing to do that,
Hmm.
because there's value in what we bring to this country, to this globe. We have built this shit.
On everything. And a lot of our people, leading into the next thing I want to talk about, a lot of our people make it very difficult. Like all of once we got to America, right? Once we got to America, the separation between the house Negro, the field Negro, the manutorious manumission, where a slave who was willing to tell, was willing to do certain things, would get a butter biscuit and a seat at the table. That same type of mentality is being handed out now. And just like you said, even the buck breaking thing, breaking the buck in front of other people. See, that's the biggest thing. We want everybody to see. It's not just doing it. That's one thing, but we want everybody to see. And now we have Negroes on TV that I think are completely off code. So, so when I look at the Charles Barkleys and the Shaquille O'Neals, Stephen A. Smith, a lot of these guys, there's been a lot of, even more, that's been on TV speaking about this issue. I personally think there needs to be a complete code of conduct of how we decide to speak on our brothers. If I have a man's number, all of you guys are at a status where you can reach out to one another. If you have his number, call him, see what's going on. But calling him an idiot, saying he's stupid because of religious beliefs, that's what we're talking about. But some of these same people are Christians. You can't have it both ways. But when your money is coming from a white institution, I think sometimes you feel you have to double down on it, and that makes it worse. Charles Barkley, one of the interviews, or one of the inside the NBA shows they were doing, was before Kyrie got suspended, Sonia. And on this show, he basically said he should get suspended. He should get suspended. The white man who is like the narrator of the whole thing on their show was trying to stop Charles Barkley from talking, and he cut him off and kept going. He needs to be suspended. More needs to happen. So not only did they say, hey, maybe he was a little insensitive and keep on moving, they made it a point to double down on everything that's been saying about him on in the media. And to me, this is 2022 buck breaking, where we take big, massive men, Shaq and shit, 7'9". He on there talking about, I just want to love. I'm just
Right,
here to make
right,
people have fun. I'm just here to make people happy. Whoa, yeah.
right.
Like in a general sense, we should all be here to make people happy. But your people is struggling. Your people
Absolutely.
specifically is struggling. So how you approach that matters. In the a lot of the slave revolts we would have, a lot of these things were not successful, not because white society stopped it. It was because somebody black decided they wanted a seat at the table, decided they didn't have the heart to contribute, whatever the problem was. But we still see this today, and it's disappointing. You know what I mean?
It's so disappointing. Like, I cannot imagine going into spaces where, one, you have other folks who look like you and you don't trust them, right? So that's
Mhm.
an issue in and of itself, because we are always the ones that are being alienated from one another. So the second thing is that this division within our community is intentional. So, like, they identify from the get-go, like, you gonna be on our side, and I'm gonna give you this money if you come over here and be on our side, but I need you to act like this because you over here on this side. Because
Mhm.
if you don't act like this, you're gonna be back over there with the common folks,
With
right?
the common
And so
folks.
that's the second thing. But the third thing that is even more critical in this conversation is this conversation about freedom of religion. I was looking at a meme. So, yesterday, as we all know, not yesterday, 2 days ago, Tuesday, was Election Tuesday. And I'm just going to use the example of the state of Georgia. There's a race where you have a known liar, someone who has been accused of, and even receipts were found of him paying for abortions. That's Herschel Walker, running against a pastor, right? A reverend. And Christians in the state of Georgia decided to vote for Herschel Walker, the known liar, rather than someone who represents their Christian beliefs, right?
Hmm.
So that's the oxymoron. So are we really and truly having a conversation where we're defending religion? Or are we having a conversation that defends race? And I believe it's the latter, because
Hmm.
there's no way on God's green earth that any Christian can use the same Bible that I've read all my life, because I'm a PK, I'm a preacher's kid, that same Bible, and then have these conversations about you shouldn't do this or you shouldn't do that. We can't have it one way. You can't have it both ways. Now,
Hmm.
we know that two things are true at the same time, but there are
Yeah.
certain things you can't have both ways. And so that's the conversation. Are we defending religion or are we defending race? And whiteness is pervasive. Whiteness is the foundation of what racism is, all of its tentacles. And
Mhm.
that's what we have to begin to break down.
Yeah, yeah, and there's a way to actually do this. So yes, the systematic things that have been set up make it difficult even to this day. But some sort of code of conduct being in our community, like you don't have to um, talk about it and preach it the way some people do, but behind the scenes, there needs to be a level of unification because Shaq and all of them was saying, Sonia, that even Shannon Sharp, hey, when any athlete does something that I don't like, it's my job to speak